Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Dan Wickline Show. I'm your host, Matthew Perry, and no one told me life was going to be this way. My job's a joke, I'm broke, and my love life is DOA. I'll let you kind of roll with the rest of that yourself. All right, we're going to have kind of an interesting hodgepodge of a show here. I have watched the new Loki, and I will give you a brief non-spoiler review later in the show. I don't want to go into spoilers until tomorrow night. Tomorrow night will be our big spoiler discussion, so I'll give you my real good thoughts on that and let you guys share some of your theories and thoughts. One of my theories has proven true, so that's pretty good, much better than on WandaVision. But we're going to get things rolling off. But first thing, I made an observation having to do with social media. And you guys may have already figured this out. But for me, this was more of a reminder than, we refer to each other as followers or friends online. But I look at it this way. I post a picture of my dog. I get over 100 likes and comments. I post a Father's Day message about missing my dad who passed away a few months ago, and again, another 100 likes and comments. There's a lot of good people out there that care. Yesterday, I posted a stray message, a direct plea to the potato chip industry, telling them just because you can make these strange flavors like jerk chicken potato chips doesn't mean you should. That starts huge conversations, lots of comments, lots of likes, over another 100. So those 3 posts in the last few days, hundreds of likes. I post, hey guys, my podcast is going to be on at this time. 10 likes and a couple bad jokes. Hey, I got a new book for sale. Crickets. So social media, where you can't actually get any real messages out there. But pet pictures, somebody passed away, stray comments, or anything I post about Michael Caine or Sean Connery, those go great. Go figure. Kyle says I should try the buffalo chicken Pringles. You know what I like? I like potato chip flavored potato chips. I like barbecue flavored potato chips. Sour cream and onion, the basics. I like the standards. I don't need a jerk chicken flavor, a buffalo chicken flavor, a pizza flavored, or biscuits and gravy flavored. You know what I do if I want biscuits and gravy? I get my nephew to make biscuits and gravy, something he's very good at. We just had it for dinner Sunday night. Now, Kyle says they're Pringles and they taste like buffalo sauce. It's nice. Fine. But if I want buffalo sauce, I'll get some buffalo wings, or I'll make my buffalo chicken mac and cheese that is very tasty. I like it a lot. I could do that instead of just getting a potato chip. Again, when I get a potato chip, I want it to be a potato chip that tastes like, I'm a fan of barbecue potato chips. I'm a fan of sour cream and onion. I know there's a lime potato chip, which just blows my mind. I don't get it, but I guess I just have to chalk it up and go to each their own on that. All right, let's kind of get into the news here. And this should start our first feud. Yeah, the Kyle Dan feud, the taste of what should potato chips taste like. There we go. All right, first story of the day may be just this one made me smile. There's a cosplayer over in Italy named Mattia Villardita, and he was invited to the Vatican and got to sit in the VIP section because he does a lot of charity work. He dressed as Spider-Man, circa Tobey Maguire movies, goes to the children's hospitals and spends time with sick children. Now, I know some cosplayers who do that here, and I think that is incredibly generous and wonderful, and I applaud every single one of you guys that do that. I see the MCU guys doing that, and I think that is amazing. If I actually had a cosplay costume that would fit me, I would do it too, because nothing is worse than being in the hospital. I learned that myself a couple weeks ago. But for a kid who's there and maybe their parents can't be in there, or their parents are, all that stuff going on, to see one of the heroes you grew up with show up, that is just amazing. And again, applause. So this guy got invited to the VIP section at the Vatican and had an opportunity to meet Pope Francis. And I'm not a big religious person, but I'm kind of a fan of Pope Francis. I kind of like his attitude on a lot of things. Not all. There's still some issues I have with religion and some of the choices, but I don't want to get too much into that. But I am a believer that if you have your beliefs, then they're your beliefs, and enjoy them. I don't expound my beliefs on anybody else, nor do I want them on me, but believe what you want. Well, Mattia got to meet the Pope and had a gift for him. He gave the pontiff his own Spider-Man mask. So now Pope Francis has a Spider-Man mask of his own. And in my mind, I immediately started picturing Francis running around his chambers, mask on, still in the white robes with a mask on, doing the little web shooter fingers. Oh, the holy web shooters. Nice, Kyle. I just want that image of the Pope in a Spider-Man mask doing the fingers. That makes me smile. I love that idea. I love that concept. So, all right, let's go ahead and move on to some other news. This one I don't have a lot of info on. There was a full article, but I didn't really care to read the article. It was just the basis of the article was enough for me. Kyle wants Todd McFarlane to draw us a Pope Spider-Man thing. I think first thing we need to start referring to it as the Spider Pope. And then we've got the Spider-Verse coming up. The second Spider-Verse movie, we need a Spider Pope. Marvel, Sony, we need a Spider Pope. Come on. It'd be brilliant. Be absolutely brilliant. All right, so in the news today, it says that Jerry Seinfeld is going to both direct and star in a film called Unfrosted. It's a Netflix movie about the creation of Pop-Tarts. I have nothing more to say about that. Just that there's going to be a movie about Pop-Tarts with Jerry Seinfeld. Who are these people who don't toast their Pop-Tarts? And why would you want frosting on your Pop-Tart? You don't need frosting. Yeah, that's just, yeah. Jerry Seinfeld in Unfrosted. Yep, the perfect Seinfeld movie, a movie about nothing. Yeah, I should just have Kyle on the show. He's doing a lot of good comments here. Also, I like the Spider Pope. Spider Pope does whatever a Spider Pope does, which, what would a Spider Pope do? Your child needs baptizing. Dip, dip, back to you. I don't know. All right, let's go ahead and move on. This just was breaking news about a half hour ago. There isn't a scene where he complains that someone has man hands and I'm out. Okay, so within the last hour, it was announced that even though her time as Natasha Romanoff is coming to an end, Scarlett Johansson's time with Disney is far from over. The House of Mouse and Johansson's production company, These Pictures, will be making a film based on the Tower of Terror ride, which is being written by Toy Story 4's co-writer and director Josh Cooley. Now, Johansson is expected to star in the film, and it's, again, based on the Tower of Terror ride, also known as the Twilight Zone Tower of Terror, which debuted in Disney World in Florida in 1994. It was then added to Disney's California Adventures in 2004, before being restructured into the MCU-inspired Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout ride in 2017, which is now, of course, part of the Avengers compound at California Adventures. Now, the ride was the focus of a TV movie in 1997 with, and you can tell how old this is by the two stars, Steve Guttenberg and Kirsten Dunst. Yep. Now, oh no, I get the joke. Kyle says if it doesn't feature David S. Pumpkins, it's not scary enough. And I absolutely agree with you. I am a huge fan of David S. Pumpkins. I hated the animated cartoon they did, but I loved that routine. And I loved how it kind of went viral on it, so quickly. So a cameo of David S. Pumpkins would be perfect in that movie. Johansson will, of course, be seen on July 9th in the long-awaited Black Widow movie, opening in theaters and on Disney Plus that day. It'll cost you a little extra on Disney Plus, but if you want to see in the theater, you can do that too. News out of Indiana Jones 5 is that Harrison Ford has hurt himself rehearsing a fight scene. Though the exact extent of the injury is unknown, report says that it's his shoulder. And to give him a chance to recover, director James Mangold will continue shooting around the 78-year-old actor, just filming other scenes with other actors. Now, of course, this isn't the first time that Ford has been hurt while returning to one of his beloved characters. While filming Force Awakens, Ford had his leg broken by a hydraulic door while on the set of the Millennium Falcon. I believe that was the Falcon telling him he had been away too long. So 78, and they're saying he's in great shape for 78, but he's 78, and we know that when you get older, bones and stuff like that get a little more brittle. Take a little longer to recover. Hell, at 51, bones get a little more brittle, and it takes longer to recover. So more power to Mr. Ford. I hope he recovers quickly and gets back to the fedora and the whip soon. Okay. Speaking of Disney, Disney Plus dropped the trailer for the reboot of sorts of Turner and Hooch. Though it's not really a reboot, as John Peck is playing the son of Tom Hanks' character from the original film. And we find out today in the trailer that, they killed off Tom Hanks' character. Scott Turner, who I guess would be Scott Turner Sr., dies, and in his will, he leaves this French Mastiff named Hooch to his son, who doesn't necessarily want a dog, doesn't seem to be living a life that would include a dog, and isn't the actual dog from Turner and Hooch, the storyline. It's supposedly a rescue that the senior Scott saved, but has a lot of the same characteristics and acts like the original Hooch, so he calls him Hooch. So, and of course, Scott Jr. isn't a detective. He's a U.S. Marshal who is trying to make his way in the Marshal Service, kind of work his way up, get his feet, and now he's dumped with a French Mastiff, who, of course, we know will become his partner and become a major part of the show. And just stepping back and going, God, do we really need this? And then I watched the trailer and I'm in. The dog is freaking adorable. He's huge, but he's freaking adorable. The guy playing Scott Jr. or Scott looks like he's going to do fine. There's some good character actors in it. There's some kind of sad moments when he's reading the letter from his dad and talks about how every good thing that ever came to his life happened after Hooch came to him, and that's why he's leaving the new Hooch to his son. And I'm like, oh God, I'm in. This is going to be, oh yeah, yeah. Plus, it's going to debut on July 21st, which is a Wednesday, which means that it's going to debut in the Loki time slot 1 week after Loki ends. Now, I don't know when the next MCU or Star Wars thing is going to come out. I know Book of Boba Fett's December. We're supposed to get Hawkeye and Miss Marvel before that, but maybe Turner and Hooch is going to be the fill-in for a little while. We're going to get What If. I don't know if What If is going to be a Wednesday night drop or if they'll treat it more like The Bad Batch and be a Friday night drop, where the Wednesdays are the TV series or the series or the live action shows, and Friday will be the animated. I'm not sure how that's going to be. The What If may take Bad Batch's animated slot. We will see. Because I don't think they're going to run it in the Wednesday night slot. Plus, it's going to be 11 or 12 episodes. But then Turner and Hooch is going to be 12 episodes too. So we shall see. But again, check out the trailer at least. It might tug on your heartstrings. If you've seen the original movie, it may make you, kind of nostalgic. Would have been nice to have Tom Hanks show up, though, even if just for a few moments, instead of just going, oh yeah, he's dead. I don't like the idea of thinking of Tom Hanks dead, any of his characters, A ghosty Tom Hanks, that would be cool. He possesses the dog. He possesses Hooch and communicates with his son through the dog. Somebody call my agent. Thanks. Okay. By the way, there's nobody over there. When I point over there, there's nobody actually there. I'm in a room by myself. But, yeah. Kyle could call my agent. I'd have to get an agent first. Yes, it's a mashup of the Shaggy D. It was the Shaggy DA, not the Shaggy Dog. It was the Shaggy DA and Turner and Hooch. And I love that idea. I think that's a winner. I really do. All right, let's move on to The Boys. And they're adding some more muscle for season 3. Besides Jensen Ackles appearing as Soldier Boy, the series has cast Sean Patrick Flannery, Nick Welchler, and Miles Gaston Villanueva to be costume heroes. Villanueva will play Supersonic, Flannery will be Gunpowder, and Welchler will be playing Blue Hawk. Now, if you aren't up on the comics, Gunpowder is a character from the comics. He was part of a group called Teenage Kicks, which I don't believe they've actually... Well, they sort of dealt with the female with the blades in the first season also comes out of Teenage Kicks, the one that was dating A-Train. I can't remember her name off the top of my head. So she comes out of Teenage Kicks. So that's the only other character that's referenced. But Gunpowder is kind of a Punisher type. So that we're going to get him. The other two characters aren't from the comic series specifically. But again, they might be changing names because Garth Ennis kind of took the piss out with a few of the character names. So they might want to swap a few out. Rumor is that the character of Supersonic is going to be Starlight's ex-boyfriend. And in the comics, it's Drummer Boy. And Drummer Boy is Homelander's teen sidekick. So they might be swapping that character out, taking Drummer Boy out and putting Supersonic in. Also maybe creating a character to kind of go up against A-Train. Another thing we're talked about is that they're going to focus on the Payback team this season. And the Payback team had Stormfront, who we met in season 2, and Soldier Boy. So it could be, maybe the third character, the Blue Hawk, is from that group. There is an archer in it named Eagle Eye Archer or Eagle the Archer or something. So maybe Blue Hawk is that guy. Don't know. We'll have to see. But also there's a rumor that they're going to be casting Tech Knight. And if you've read any of the comics at all, you know the Tech Knight story is one of the most Grant Morrison stories ever. And will just be absolutely insane if they try to do that particular story. And if you haven't read it, pick up The Boys from Dynamite. They've got all of the books from Garth Ennis and Derek Robertson collected in omnibuses. There's like 5 omnibuses. Dynamite was brilliant when the series came out. They just dropped a bunch of money into reprinting these omnibuses and making them available. And there's versions that have the live action characters on the front, and there's versions that have the comic versions of the characters. So you can pick these books up. They're all available on Amazon and whatnot. I've got a set of them. I did an adaptation of, and if you're a novel reader and you want to read the story of Teenage Kicks from the comics, but don't like to read comics, which I don't know why you'd be watching this channel, but the option is, of course, the first omnibus would cover that story, or there is an adaptation called Name of the Game that I wrote on Amazon. It's in, you can get it in print, in ebook, and that's available too in prose. So you could read a novel version of it, or you could read the comic version of it and learn all about the Teenage Kicks and Gunpowder and the other characters from that group. And that's a pretty bizarre story as well. So maybe one of the stranger novels I've ever written. All right. That covers most of the news. We're going to do some other interesting stuff. But since we are going to be coming up to a break, let's do this story here. This week is the 30th anniversary of one of the best superhero movies of all time. Kyle, do you know which one I'm talking about? 30 years ago, one of the best superhero movies of all time. No. We are talking about The Rocketeer. The character was originally created by the late Dave Stevens and was adapted by, the script was by Paul DeMeo and Danny Bilson, who, of course, created the Flash television series. They did the one with John Wesley Shipp. They did the Human Target series with Rick Springfield. And no, it wasn't Batman and Robin. Yeah, Rocketeer is an amazing movie. But it was directed by Joe Johnston, who we know as, of course, the director of Captain America, the First Avenger. And he was also special effects director or coordinator for like the Indiana Jones movies. He comes out of the Lucasfilms thing. So Joe Johnston has a great pedigree. If you don't know much about him, look at him. But this was his first superhero movie as a director. And, of course, he did Captain America, the Winter Soldier. If you haven't seen the film or read the comics, The Rocketeer is kind of an adaptation of the old Saturday afternoon serials that you'd see in the theater. Sky King and the guys with the jetpacks was basically what it was. And that's what this is. The Rocketeer, it's set in the 1930s in Southern California. So you get both the outskirts of Southern California and the agricultural areas. And then you also get Hollywood. It follows Cliff Secord, who's played by Billy Campbell. And Billy Campbell got the job because he heard about the movie, ran out, bought the comics, read all the comics. Then he went to a barber and had the barber redo his hair exactly how Dave Stevens drew the character. And when he walked in for the audition, of course, they went, "Oh my God, he's like right off the page." So there, doing your homework counts, folks. Kyle says he has an original Rocketeer piece of art somewhere. I am totally jealous of that. I love the Rocketeer and I love Dave Stevens' artwork. So Cliff comes across, is a pilot, and he stumbles across a top secret rocket pack. And with the help of his mechanic friend Peavy, who's played by Alan Arkin, they figure out how to use it and to fly. But with gangsters, Nazis, and government agents all trying to get it back, things go a bit crazy. And Cliff's girlfriend, Jenny, played by Jennifer Connelly, gets pulled into the mess, and Cliff has to save the girl, stop the Nazis, and protect the country. All like, you would think. And by the way, in this movie, the Nazis are the bad guys. Okay? Yeah, Alan Arkin as a sidekick is not something you often see. But the Nazis are so bad that at one point, the mob turns against the Nazis. They're like, well, we're not siding with the Nazis. So that shows you how bad it is. The mafia doesn't want to put belly up with the Nazis. So this is all good stuff that you'd expect to see from this classic type of movie. The rest of the cast is absolutely amazing. You have Timothy Dalton, who is playing the screen legend, Neville Sinclair, who happens to be the head of the Nazis. I'm going to get a little spoilerish here, but the movie's 30 years old, so damn it, it's your time to go see it. Paul Sorvino plays mobster Eddie Valentine. He's great. And Terry O'Quinn is the enigmatic Howard Hughes. Hold on. You going to do the spoiler thing? You want to do the spoiler for a 30-year-old movie? Okay, now that we've officially done that, Howard Hughes, of course, is the guy who's part that made the jetpack, and there's this whole great story. And like I said, the Nazis are trying to take over. It is just a wonderful, wonderful movie. Now, there is one kind of negative aspect to it. It's something that some fans and even Dave Stevens wasn't happy about. And that is that the character of Jenny isn't supposed to be Jenny. Jenny is supposed to be Betty Page. Now, Stevens spelled it Betty, where the famous model, of the 50s and 60s was Bettie Page. Now, Stevens would eventually go on. He used her as the model for the character. So Cliff's girlfriend was basically Betty Page. And Stevens would become close friends with the actual Betty Page. And were friends until both of their Stevens actually passed before Betty Page, but they weren't that far apart when they passed. And while he named the character after her, reports say, and I don't know what the actual truth is, but the reports are that the real Betty Page wouldn't allow her name to be used in the film. So they changed the character to Jenny Blake. I've also heard stories that Disney didn't want to associate this family film with the character of Betty Page, who did a lot of risque and nude photography back in the 50s and 60s. I honestly don't know which is the truth, but I know some people were disappointed. On the other hand, she was played by Jennifer Connelly, who is a wonderful actress, absolutely gorgeous, the wife of Paul Bettany, and did a fantastic job. So put that aspect aside. If you haven't seen this movie, rent it, watch it, go find it. It is an absolute amazing superhero movie, one of the best of all times. All right, folks, we are at the halfway point of the show, so let's do ourselves a little commercial break, and then we will be right back. everybody. Welcome back. We got a lot of fun stuff going on here. We've been kind of doing a hodgepodge today. Got a couple more things we're going to talk about, but I want to mention what's coming up the rest of this today's programming here on the comic shopping experience. We've got a couple, we got a new show tonight, but directly after this show will be Comics Collectibles with Rex and, the note here I have is not Nick's. But, so the Comics Collectible, which I believe is with Nick Barucci, Kyle can correct me on that, but we've got a brand new show tonight debuting called Kicking It with Henri and Kevin. It's a new sales show. But, tune in for that. Get to see what they've got to offer. Should be a lot of fun. This is a No Nick Wednesday. Okay, so we got No Nick Barucci. He did pop into our show last night and just give us encouragement. But no Nick Barucci tonight, but we will be doing Comic Collectibles with Rex and the Not Nicks. So I am not one of the Not Nicks. I believe Kyle will be one of the Not Nicks. Not sure who else will be on it, and of course, Kicking It with Henri and Kevin tonight. Yeah, Kyle's name thing usually says not Nick. So, all right. Also, please hit the like and subscribe buttons. Oh, yep, see, not Nick. Please hit the like and subscribe buttons or the thumbs up button, the heart button, the care button. I love the care button. Nobody ever hits the care button enough. Sometimes you just need a hug. But hit those buttons for us. If you miss on any of the shows, remember you can find all our shows on our YouTube channel, so please subscribe to that. And if you missed the Dan Wickline Show or In Stores This Week or Minute to Skim It or any of these other great shows we've got on the air, you can go to the YouTube channel and pick them up. Also, Pop Go the Writers, What's in the Box, and a lot of great stuff. Black Comic Universe. I was calling it Black Comic University, which I actually like that title because I figured it's black creators talking about how to get into comic stuff like that. But it's Black Comics Universe, so I need to get that in my brain. So, also, if you want to follow us on Instagram or TikTok, it's _EXP1. And on if you want to join our mailing list, so you can see what our schedule is, what we got coming up, that's at thecomicshoppingexperience.com, and just sign up for our mailing list. Kyle keeps insisting I'm TikTok famous. I'm not sure how that is possible. I don't even have a TikTok, but he says I'm TikTok famous. So I'm going to take his word for it. He technically is the boss because he presses all the buttons. Okay. Let's go into our next bit here. We're going to talk about Loki. Now, this is going to be as a spoiler-free review as humanly possible. And I watched the episode late last night. It was great. It was a bit of a surprise. I knew that would need to focus on Sophia DiMartino's new character that we met last episode, but I didn't realize that after the first few minutes, we'd leave the TVA behind for the rest of the episode. So this is basically Tom Hiddleston, Sophie DiMartino show. And this was also the shortest episode so far, and it definitely felt like it. It's almost 10 minutes shorter than the first two episodes. It's like 9 minutes shorter and 11 minutes shorter. So we'll go with 10. It also has the most action and most tension so far. We did find out that one of my proposed theories over the last couple of weeks was proven true. But to find out which one, you're going to have to tune in to tomorrow night's show at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, where we do our spoiler-filled review and discussion. So if you want to know what theory I got right, come back tomorrow night for that, and I will let you know. Hiddleston and DiMartino play very well off of each other. I got to tell you, I've been loving the interaction and banter between Owen Wilson and Hiddleston, but Hiddleston and DiMartino is just as interesting to watch. There might also be a little sexual tension going on. Then again, there might be a little sexual tension between Hiddleston and Owen Wilson. Hard to say. I'm not a great judge for that, but also the action scenes were quite physical. They reminded me of some of the scenes we got in the Netflix Daredevil series. A couple of scenes, they were frantically moving around, and it looked like it was all done in one take, where the camera just kind of follows them and stuff. And that kind of the hallway fight scene, they weren't as long, but you got that feel about it. So they're very cool. But the ending is quite abrupt, and I really expected we were going to get a little more. Normally, I'm not that guy that, when the ending comes, I'm like, oh, yep, it's going to end, and there it is. This one ended, and I'm like, wait, what? No, not yet. So it really did feel like there should have been another 10 minutes. There's also a weird feeling scene change that takes place. Completely seems like a jump or a bump. And it makes me kind of question if some of this stuff in this episode didn't really happen. I'll get more into that tomorrow night as well, but if you've seen the episode, there's a certain point where things shift a bit. And then a lot of bad things happen. A lot of things happen after that. And it makes me wonder if, it's a gut feeling, if all of that really happens, or if somebody is making somebody else think it all happens. If that makes any sense. Kyle's probably sitting behind the board going, wait, what is he talking about? So, and he's seen the episode. There's also a couple really interesting music choices. The first one is diegetic, I believe is how it's pronounced, in the same way that Holding Out for a Hero is in the second episode, where the music is actually playing in the fiction. But the second one, the one during the closing credits, was obviously picked for mood, but it's an odd mood. I'm not sure what they were going for. And if you think about it, we are halfway through the series. They've been throwing a lot of stuff at us, a lot of ideas and whatnot. Okay, Kyle says, I'm not sure I agree with that theory. I think things, and stuff about this show. Again, it's a gut instinct on whether or not that half of the show takes place or not. Or if certain elements don't actually. We'll find out going into episode 4 when they deal with how episode 3 ends. But I almost got a feeling that maybe some of that stuff didn't actually happen. It's kind of illusionary. That's my thought. But again, we are halfway through the season at this point. There's only 3 episodes left. We have as much in front of us as we have behind us. And there's a lot going on, and it's going to be amazing to see them pull all this together, and I can't wait for episode 4. I am just loving this series. It gets better and better and better. So definitely you want to catch this and join me tomorrow night for the spoiler review with your theories and your ideas. Let's talk about it, because I think it'll be cool. I want to hear what you guys think. If you guys think what I'm thinking is right, what you think about my other theories, and about the one that's turns out to be good or turned out to be right, at least in part. So, okay, let's move on. This next part is going to have some spoilers, but not for Loki. We're going to talk about the Bad Batch. So, Kyle, if you want to run that spoiler thing again, you can. Kyle says, I'm not sure I think what I think I think. That may be the most brilliant thing I've ever heard Kyle say. All right, so I haven't talked much about Bad Batch lately, but I have to say that while I'm liking the new episodes better than the second or third one, I'm not a fan of. I still think what they tried to accomplish in episodes 2 and 3 could have been done in about 5 minutes, tacked on to episode 4, and episode 4 would have been fine. I don't think episode 2 and 3 were even necessary. And I think maybe 5 and 6 could have been, they could have started compressing these down a little bit. I still think they're stretching out over a season what could have been done in 6 to 8 episodes. But we'll see how that works out. They're doing 16 episodes, which seems insane to me. I'm still having a couple major problems with the show, and it's going to be, like I said, spoilery here if you aren't caught up. But I've never been a fan of bringing. There's not a real good term for it. There's a Mary Sue term and Deus Ex Machina, which, are kind of, the perfect person comes along with just the powers to fix the situation. And that's not quite what I'm going at here. I almost want to call it a Filoniism, where they bring in a child who has incredible powers, and it's kind of the driving force of the show, or the driving force of conflict. And it's something that Dave Filoni does a lot. We're talking about Omega, who I like the characters of the Bad Batch. The fact you've got this little kid with some secret to her that they're trying to figure out and they have to protect her really isn't that different than The Mandalorian. Omega just happens, and I will keep saying Omega because that's how they pronounce it in the show, is the same as Grogu and, The Mandalorian becoming the father figure, the Bad Batch are becoming Omega's father figure. And if you think I'm kidding about Dave Filoni, look at it this way. He does the Clone Wars. He brings in Ahsoka Tano to be kind of a teeny, angsty kid to play opposite of Anakin and all that. With the Rebels, they brought in Ezra, and Kenan becomes kind of the father figure. We got Grogu with Mandalorian. Now we have Omega. And where all of those figures in the past are force sensitive, I am really hoping beyond hope that whatever it is that makes Omega special, that it's not that she's force sensitive, that she's not a force user. Because not every Star Wars movie and series has to be about the force. How many, can we count on one hand how many times the force didn't play a part in a movie? It's Solo. The only force user we get in all of Solo, a Star Wars movie, is at the very end with Darth Maul, and he doesn't use his ability. He just shows up on the screen. There's no force sensitive, force users, any of that in the movie. And it's a good movie. It's a good story. But everything else, Baby Grogu, he can wield the force. Ahsoka Tano, Ezra. All of these characters are force users. The whole main trilogy line's about force users. Can we get a bounty hunter show? Can we get a story about, focused on these reject clones or these modified clones without having to have a force user in it? It's starting to feel very one note to me. And I don't want it to be. I want to like this. I like the characters. I like some of where they're going, but come on. It doesn't have to be the same as every other show. There's that famous line about George Lucas says, because he repeats a lot of his themes and motifs, and he says, it's kind of like poetry because it rhymes. Well, stop it. That's one of two things that bothers me about the show. The other is This is supposed to be the Bad Batch, not Clone Wars Season 8. And I realize that it's a spin-off, but we've already gotten Cutter, Rex, Rafa, Trace, and this is the spoiler, in this last episode we got Cad Bane. That's on top. That's just from Clone Wars. On top of getting Tarkin, Bib Fortuna, Saul Guerrera, Fennec Shand, and we're 8 episodes in. I can't think of any episode that doesn't have an already established character showing up. Maybe it's episode 3. I don't remember if Tarkin or if any of them show up, but do we really need to have all of these established characters showing up constantly? The Mandalorian didn't do that in season 1. We got a hint at the spurs on Boba Fett. Other than that, and we got some locations that were familiar, going back to Tatooine. But other than that, the show was allowed to stand on its own before season 2 started bringing in Boba Fett and Bo-Katan Kryze and Ahsoka Tano and the name drop of Grand Admiral Thrawn, and of course the ending with Luke Skywalker. I did do the spoiler warning, remember. But the Bad Batch is not getting that opportunity. It's an animated show, so the threshold for it, or the goal for it, isn't as high. Let these characters grow. Let these characters have the screen and build them up and give them a story. I mean, they don't need to be helped along by every established character in the galaxy. How about we spend some time creating a personality difference between Tech and Echo, who come across as almost identical? I mean, I'm thankful at least they took care of the whole Wrecker headache chip thing finally. But it's taken a long time. We're halfway through the season, and we're just getting that stuff. We just, so much is just condense it, bring it down, make it a tight thing. I love what Dave Filoni is doing with the Star Wars universe. But I think he needs a little reining in, a little Jon Favreau to make it really sing, to be more appealing to everybody. There are people who are not going to sit down and watch all of the Clone Wars. If you're going to put these on Disney Plus, you have the opportunity to make this for a bigger audience because of all the people signing up for it. You could get the Loki people if you do a really good show. They need to tighten it up, make it a little bit better. They need to stop filling it with all of these reference characters, especially since a lot of them, if you haven't watched the Clone Wars, you don't know who the hell they are. Rafa and Trace. It's going to go over a lot of people's head. But it's part of the story that, then we see they're talking to a mysterious figure. Well, if you know who Rafa and Trace are, you've got it narrowed down to 2 people. You're probably thinking Ahsoka Tano, and Rex shows up. And you go, oh yeah, it could have been Rex. So, all right, that's enough about that. I got one more story to talk about, one more show, and it might be the surprise new favorite for me. Someone at Fox has figured out the pandemic me. Pretty much they've created a TV series specifically tailored to the things that helped me get through the last year. Mysteries and cooking. Up until a couple years ago, I didn't do any cooking. I made French toast. I always figured, as a guy should have a good breakfast they could make. Learned that when I was very young. Other than that, I really didn't do a lot of cooking short of throwing a few steaks or burgers on the grill. I started getting into cooking, prepping cooking, where I'd cook for, I'd cook 2 or 3 meals in a week, but I'd make enough to feed me for the whole week. That was my big plan, and I was doing that. And then the pandemic hit, and I'm living with my parents at the time. My father's passed, but I didn't want them going to the grocery store. Too old, too vulnerable. So I took over that, and in doing so, I took over the shopping, I took over the cooking, and because it needed to be done. So in the last year, I've learned to cook a lot of different things. I went on YouTube, learned all these cooking, watched a bunch of cooking shows. Food Network was on all the time. And I've learned to cook everything from Szechuan pork and asparagus to chicken a la king to I even made a choco flan, scones, shrimp scampi. I mean, these are all things I've learned to make in the last year. Well, with the newfound love of cooking, like I said, I watch a lot of cooking shows. I came across, well, my friend Lisa and I came across. She's the one that got me into cooking shows anyway, and was trying to get me to cook for years. But we came across this show on Fox called Crime Scene Kitchen, and we decided to give it a chance. Now, the show host is Joel McHale, and it begins with the contestants getting a chance to look over the crime scene, which is a kitchen where someone has just made some form of dessert. And there's enough of a mess left over that bakers should be able to come in, look at the clues, and kind of figure out what had just been made. Then those same bakers, they're paired up in teams, there's 2 per team, they get a look at it, then they have to go back to their kitchen, and they have to make the dessert that they figured out was just made. Now there's it's being judged by Chef Curtis Stone and cake artist Yolanda Gamp. And what happens is they go back and they make their version of whatever they figured was made in there. And then it's presented to the judges. And the judges then first look at it and go, is it the right thing? We wanted a cheesecake and you made a coffee cake, big X. But if you make the right thing, then it gets judged on taste, presentation, the normal things they do that stuff with. And they do 2 rounds. The first round is just a kind of a basic dessert. I mean, there was cannoli, or there was a cheesecake, or a lemon tart. I mean, there was different things, those kind of things. Then the second round, the person that made the best dessert, that got it right, or at least, if nobody gets it right, then it's all down to taste and whatnot. But the person that makes the best dessert, and picking the right dessert is way above making a tasty dessert. So if you pick the right dessert, you got a better chance of winning than if you make the best dessert. But the person who gets an extra clue on what's going to be in the second round. And the second round is a showcase. So it's something grand. It's not what you would normally just decide to make for yourself. A croquembouche is one of the things they made, which is cream puffs all stacked together, swirled together with caramel and what. I mean, I've never seen it before, and that's one of the desserts. But so then they go in, they have to do it again, and it is absolutely amazing to watch these bakers go through and try to deduce what was made, and then go back and make the same thing. And what's even more amazing is watching some of these cooks or chefs who are so 100% certain that they've got the right dessert and then are completely wrong. There's one guy who was 100% sure he got the right dessert the first time and was the only one to make the wrong dish. The second time they go back, they do the next crime scene. He's 100% sure he's got it right this time, and he's 100% wrong again. And of course, he gets voted off. And it's weird because they've got like 2 groups of contestants. So they're kind of going back and forth. Episodes 1 and 3 are one group. Episode 2 and 4 are the other. And they're going to keep narrowing it down. So, no. The food usually comes. Now, a couple of people have totally, JD says, so his dish was half-baked. His idea was half-baked. His dish was done well. But there are some people who made like a lemon tart that they could literally pour out. It never set. I mean, there is some train wrecks going on in this show. And Joel McHale is incredibly funny. He tries to mess with the bakers. Eventually, maybe they're going to combine the 2 groups, whatever. But really, it's a lot of fun show. If you're looking for something different to watch, if you like baking shows and you want to throw in the whole Clue mystery thing. I recommend this show. There's 4 episodes out. I think the 5th one's tonight. You can watch it on Fox, or it's on Hulu as well. So you can get all 4 of the episodes on Hulu. And again, I love this show. I'm hooked on it. I watch it on the weekends with Lisa. She's better at baking. She's got more experience, so she usually figures out what it is once we get the clues. And I'm the one who figures out what the clues are because I'm more of a mystery person. But the name of the show is Crime Scene Kitchen. So look for it on Hulu or on Fox. All right, guys, I've just completely run to the end of the show. I want to thank you for joining me today. Come back tomorrow night for our spoiler-filled review. Murder, She Baked would have been a hilarious name. But yeah, it's Crime Scene Kitchen. Come back tomorrow night, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern for our spoiler-filled discussion and review of the latest Loki episode. Stick around for Comics Collectibles with Rex and the Not Nicks, and then the new show tonight of with Henri and Kevin called Kyle.
Kicking It
with Henri and Kevin. So join us for that. That's going to be playing out tonight. Please hit the like and subscribe buttons. I'm going to get out of here before Kyle gets mad at me for going long. I'm not Dave Letterman. I can't tell the affiliates for going long. So let me get out of here. Everybody have a great night, and I will see you tomorrow night. Peace.